Welcome everyone to our virtual pre-show. I'm Amy Gutierrez and I get to be your host this evening. I hope everyone has time to fill a glass with their spirit of choice and enjoy some exclusive access to a few Bay Area greats before we get the ball rolling with our show. And I know everyone is looking forward to hearing from not just one of the greats in sports, but a great man, Golden State Warriors head coach Steve Kerr. He's going to be joining us later tonight. Now, this evening, it's all about celebrating the transformative power a coach can provide to youth. It's also an evening to raise money and support giving every child the opportunity to play sports with a trained and caring coach. Throughout the night, you'll have the chance to support Coaching Corps by going to coach.ggo.bid, or if you prefer to make a gift by phone, you can do that too. Just call 1-510-496-5117. In under-resourced communities all across the country, kids are missing out. But Coaching Corps is changing that by providing youth in underserved communities with the opportunity to learn skills that last a lifetime from Coaching Corps coaches. And is there anything more inspiring in sports than the Olympics? The determination and dedication of Olympic athletes is something we can all aspire to. We missed out on the 2020 Olympics, but we're hopeful to see them resume in Tokyo this summer. And helping to hype it up, please welcome Brandy Henderson, who'll be interviewing U.S. Paralympic gold and bronze medalist in wheelchair basketball, Trayvon Jennifer, and silver medalist in BMX, Elise Willoughby.
Hello, I'm Brandy Henderson, and I'm so excited to be here tonight at the Coaching Corps Game Changer Awards. I'm even more excited to be joined by Trayvon Jennifer, U.S. Paralympic gold medalist of wheelchair basketball, and Elise Willoughby, U.S. Olympic silver medalist of BMX. I'm going to start off by asking, Trey, how did you get involved in sports? What was your journey like so far?
So I actually started playing sports when I was 4 years old. And this came after, not playing any sports and watching my brothers and sisters play sports. We are a very competitive household, so it was one of those things where...
I'm going to start off by asking, Trey, how did you get involved in sports? What was your journey like so far?
So I actually started playing sports when I was 4 years old. And this came after, not playing any sports and watching my brothers and sisters play sports. We are a very competitive household, so it was one of those things where...
I'm going to start off by asking, Trey, how did you get involved in sports? What was your journey like so far?
So I actually started playing sports when I was 4 years old. And this came after, not playing any sports and watching my brothers and sisters play sports. We are a very competitive household, so it was one of those things where...
I'm going to start off by asking, Trey, how did you get involved in sports? What was your journey like so far?
So I actually started playing sports when I was 4 years old. And this came after, not playing any sports and watching my brothers and sisters play sports. We are a very competitive household, so it was one of those things where...
I'm going to start off by asking, Trey, how did you get involved in sports? What was your journey like so far?
So I actually started playing sports when I was 4 years old. And this came after, not playing any sports and watching my...
Other little girls out there, and he just thought this would be a great thing that we could all do together. I was always trying to keep up with my older brothers growing up, so I was riding my little 16-inch bike around trying to keep up with them at the jumps. So it was something that we thought we could do as a family, and went out there completely chickened out. My brother and my mom pushed for, let's go one more week, give her another chance. And I got my first race under my belt and have been addicted to sport and competition ever since. I love it. I'm obviously still riding bikes today. My whole family got involved, starting a volunteer BMX track within a year of us joining the sport so that we didn't have to drive an hour to the track every time we went. So they're still running that today. It wasn't necessarily a sport that I dreamed about heading the Olympic direction with as a young girl, because it only joined the Olympics in 2008. But as I set my sights on that and came out here to San Diego, been training hard and enjoying the ride, just as Trey said, it's quite the journey.
That's awesome, and I love that it was a family, and all the family was involved in that. I know that probably made it really special for you.
yeah, it was really cool. My parents always said they know they've done a great thing for a bunch of kids, multiple times a week, and it brings a lot of joy to the whole family.
So you both mentioned your families, and I hope this question doesn't, get you guys in trouble at home, but would you say you have a biggest fan, and who would that be? Elise, let's start with you.
Huh. I don't think I'll get in trouble, but yeah, I would say that my mom for sure. I mean, my mom passed away unfortunately in 2014 from cancer, but she was always my biggest cheerleader and the one driving me around to practice. And before we had the local track, she was the one loaded me and my brother and all his friends. So I was just along for the ride trying to keep up. And yeah, she was the one driving us all over the place, all the gymnastics meets and that growing up. And they're all my biggest supporters. They all been to the Olympics and obviously many other races in the local track. But yeah, I'd say mom was the biggest cheerleader.
That's beautiful. Trey, what about you? Who would you say is your biggest fan?
Yeah, so I think this one's going to kind of get me in a little bit of hot water, but not too much. So I'm very family oriented. So my family is definitely number one. Mom, dad, sisters, brothers. So everyone's been there. And then, I meet this lovely woman at college, and then, she's along for that ride with me. She's been there with me throughout college, throughout my professional career. So then you're kind of like, yeah, she's my number one fan, and I tip my hat off to her because she's always in the gym with me. And recently in 2019, when we had two beautiful children, be able to have them in the practice facility with me, when things were open, it was awesome to have, and something that won't be replaced. So throughout my life, I feel like my number one fan has changed, but I would definitely say that the kids are number one fan at this point in time.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, who wouldn't love an Olympic dad? I mean, that's so cool.
Exactly. You hear daddy, daddy. I mean, it's hard for your heart not to melt, right? So.
Now, are they allowed to see the medals, or I won't say play, but are they allowed to touch them, or?
You know what? Funny story. I'm not gonna lie. So after we win in Tokyo, first gold medal that Team USA has won in 28 years in wheelchair basketball. So this is a big deal, right? And I let my daughter hold it, and at this point, she's what is she? She's 1 year old at this time, right? So she's holding it, right? And then all she does is touches it, and the next thing you know, boom, it fell on the floor. I was like, oh, oh. I was like, oh, but all in all, it was great. But Mama Bear keeps all the medals hidden, even from myself at this point. So
that's awesome. It totally makes sense. I get that. I feel like that makes the most sense when you have those medals in the house, especially with little ones running around. So again, we're here tonight celebrating all the coaches out there, and I would love to know from both of you, who would you say is one of your most influential coaches, and at what age did you meet them? Trey, I'll start with you.
So for me, I wouldn't even say that there's one coach. I like to tell people I'm coached by committee. And the reason I say that is because when I first got my start at the age of 4, my coach, Bill Green, gave me the opportunity to play. So I didn't have this opportunity to actually be out and play against peers and be able to travel and do the things that I love to do. So he kind of taught me what it's like to have adversity against you, people betting against you at that point in time, and being able to focus on the goal. I think I grew just as an athlete, even more so as an individual and as a leader. And I think I've become a better player. And again, like I said, these are some things that we've learned on the court and while training, but this is something that I can introduce in regards to my actual life and my daily jobs. So
I think that I can echo a little bit of what Trey said. And I mean, you want to be a coachable athlete. I think that's one of the biggest things too. You need to be a coachable athlete so that you can take on things from these different people and their different styles. For different parts of the game, if you want to be well-rounded, you need to be able to take new ideas and have an open mind and run with it. So I think that no matter how good you get at something, there's always, in gymnastics, you know, you're always striving for that perfection. So I think you never really reach that. And I think that's a good thing to instill. You're not entitled to anything, no matter how hard you work. There's always more to be done, I guess. And I think that's a good thing that I learned from a young age and carried with me throughout my career. Now we get into not only probably the most influential coach for me, but also just influential person in my life. I guess you could argue maybe even my biggest cheerleader alongside my mom, my husband, who is now coaching me since just after the 2016 Rio Games. And now more than ever, I am, you know, we are just a team, and it's, you know, you're doing it for more than yourself out there. And I think that, you know, just feeling like you've got that unwavering support in your corner.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and I'm sure it's amazing to share those moments together. I'm excited to see what happens in Tokyo, and it's even more interesting for me to know that your husband is your coach. Like that,
Yeah.
that's really awesome, and that's a beautiful love story.
Yeah, I think it's pretty
That's
cool
great.
just to know that, you know, he's been there and done that, all those same things, so he knows exactly the emotions you're going through and the wave you're riding. So
Mhm.
I think it's easier. It's easy for him to be cool, calm, and collected, and know what I need and what shoulder I need to lean on that day. So it's pretty cool.
So you both touched on a lot of the different characteristics that comes from participating in sports. Um, can you talk about maybe some of those key characteristics that you've learned from participating in your sports?
Yeah, I think it's sport is an incredible thing, and it teaches you so much beyond sport. It's unparalleled, and I think that even, you know, in team sports when you're a kid, I think that's so important to learn how to work well with others, and maybe you don't do things the same way, and you know, but there's, you can still get to the same goal. And you know, having the heartache and having the joy and experiencing all of that is a good thing. It creates a more well balanced adult, I think. And I'm thankful for everything sport has taught me, and I'm grateful that I get to keep
Awesome.
doing it as my job.
Trayvon, what about you? What are some of the things that you've learned?
I think that's very well said and hit on a lot of the same characteristics that I think are some of the points that we learn as athletes. Having discipline to be able to be like, at the end of the day, I'm not going to go out tonight because I have to get up early in the morning for practice, knowing that the sport is about more than just yourself, right? Especially for, you know, us athletes that are representing Team USA. It's more so about the letters we wear across our chest, you know, the people that we represent, you know, our families, our name, you know, the United States of America. And that's what I hold pride in, knowing that, you know, when I go to the gym, I'm competing for my family, I'm competing for my country, I'm competing for the other 11 guys that are on my team, trying to win, you know, the ultimate goal that comes around once every 4 years, and for some people once in a career. So having that discipline to go in and out of the gym, and having to make sacrifices, because I think one of the things that people don't know about us athletes is that we continue to make sacrifices, you know, throughout our life. Sometimes you might miss birthdays or, you know, baby's first words because you're in the gym or because you're at a competition, but also staying mentally tough, understanding that it's a roller coaster. You know, when you win, you got to learn from when you win, and or when you lose, you have to learn from when you lose just as much as you learn from your win. But not getting too high when you win, because it'll be easy to knock you off because everyone's gunning for you at that number one spot. So it's being able to stay disciplined, but also being able to ride the waves of emotions that come with winning and losing.
But I think it's also important, everything that Trey was saying is so true. And but I think that something's important to note is that those, per se, sacrifices are our choices. We enjoy doing that, and we love doing what we're doing, and that's why you do it. And I think that just because something's hard doesn't mean you don't enjoy it. And I think those are the lessons that, you know, people need to embrace and to accept. You know, everyone is good at different things. Like when we walk into the village at an Olympics, you see every type, like everything, and learning to accept everyone has a place and everybody is good at something different. And I think being able to stay in your lane and know what you're good at and having the security to do that, like he was saying, and stick to the plan. Those are also important off the court as well.
So we've talked about a little bit of everything so far, from coaches to, why are sports so important to us on and off the field. Can you all tell me a moment where maybe it was your most memorable moment or your favorite moment in your professional careers? Trayvon, let's start with you.
Yeah, so so I'm gonna give you this long-winded story real quick. So yeah, I feel like when I was growing up, I used to watch the Olympics on TV, right? And you would look at these people and you'd be like, why are they crying? You just won gold, silver, bronze. You just won a medal. You should be, happy. Or you got the national anthem playing and they're always crying. And I remember being up on the podium and they put the gold medal around your neck. We're all good. We're all celebrating. And then all of a sudden, the flag is being raised and you're hearing your national anthem. And at that point, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm about to cry. I was like, I can't cry. Like, this is what I like. This is what I used to like. Why are you crying? But it's the flood of emotions that you get, after being able to capture, that thing that you've been chasing for so long. When you hear that national anthem and you hear, the fans and all of the hype that's surrounding the games, it's just an awesome feeling to know that like you were able to do this for something, like I said before, so much more than yourself. So I think like being able to have all of those emotions just like pour out of yourself at that one entire moment, like it's an awesome feeling.
I couldn't imagine not crying in a moment like that. I don't blame you at all.
But I didn't cry. I want to go on record to say I didn't cry.
I'm sure you weren't the only one out there with some tears rolling down. Elise, what about you? Tell us about one of your most fond or favorite memories in your career.
Oh, there's a lot. I think I think that, just as you learn from every coach, you kind of learn from every experience, win, lose, or draw, in sport. And I think that for me, it's always about the journey up to like what Trey was saying, that that flood of emotions you get on a podium when you stand there and you kind of, it's like the culmination of all that hard work and the time you've put in with the team of people around you that have helped you get there. I think it's bigger than you. It's every single race has a story, or every single competition there's a backstory to what led there that not everybody knows. Only the ones who live it know it. And I think that that's what you feel and that's what you remember and that's what you cherish when you do get the results and you're on the podium and you get to celebrate with those people, or you get to cry with those people and work towards something better. But either way, just that all-in mentality, and doing it, you're gonna remember all of these things when you're lined up in the starting gate. Like, that all comes together then, and I think those memories are what stand out to me, and what 30 years from now I'll be telling my kids about, and just remembering. I think it's all of the journey leading up to those moments.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it must feel like being at that line, right when you're about to start the race. Talk us about, what does that feel like? Is it just all those emotions wrapped in one, and then you hear the noise go off? Like, what's that? Do you close your eyes and take a deep breath? What's that moment like right before you go?
It's the calm before the storm. It really is, and it's quiet. Like, as loud as it is. Say, the fans are going. There's such atmosphere always, especially say in Olympic Games. The crowd's going wild. They're announcing everyone's names, and you're lining up, and then all of a sudden it is silent, and that's why when you get on the podium, it all comes out, because you're learning to control those emotions as you're doing things. Because if you let them overcome you too soon, or you just, things don't, you tend to go your way. So I think you're always training to kind of be calm in that moment, and everyone has their own routines as to how they get in that place and get their game face on. Some people just feed into the noise in the crowd and they love that. Some people are taking a deep breath. But I mean, at the end of the day, those are those quiet moments where all the work you've put in, like, you're the only one up there to do the job at that point. So it's you in that moment, and I think it's a pretty special feeling.
I love the way that you characterize that, because like when I'm on the way, because some 9 times out of 10 we have to bus our way to our venue. For me, I'm almost the same way. Like, I put in my headphones and I don't want to be bothered until it's time to go, because it's like I don't want to think about the game. I don't want to think about the play. I don't want to think about anything. I just want to just go into the game, like, not feeling, not thinking, just to play the game as fluidly as it comes to yourself, as if you are in practice, right, when you're at your most comfortable.
All right, so again, we're here at the Coaching Corps Game Changer Awards, and I would love for you all to maybe tell the folks in the audience, what do you think is a key characteristic that a good coach will have?
I guess I would say that a coach, in my mind, is just someone that can reach you to make you a better version of you. Like, you might not always agree with how they go about things, but if they can figure out a way to get through to you and get the best out of you, I think you need to appreciate all different styles and types of coaching. And I think it's a real true skill and ability to be able to kind of adapt athletes to the mentality or get the most out of them, because obviously every individual is different. And I think that great coaches will find a way to get the most out of their athletes.
I 100% agree, because being able to be a coach, you have to be able to adapt to different personalities that you're going to have. You're not going to run into 9 times out of 10. You're not going to run into the same athlete that needs the same motivation as other people need. And I think that being able to get your team together to play as one is very important. And having that top leadership helps. Having that coach to be able to gear you up and get ready for that game, but to also have the ability to knock you down a peg or two when you need to be knocked down. To make sure that you stay focused on the task at hand.
Yeah. Well, Trayvon and Elise, thank you so much for joining us today. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I'm sure everybody else did as well. We wish you nothing but the best of luck in these next months ahead into Tokyo, and go Team USA.
What an opportunity to get a chance to talk to Olympic athletes. Wow, good luck to you in Tokyo. The world will be watching and we'll all be rooting for you. Next, Brody Brazil from NBC Sports Bay Area is joined by Oakland A's skipper for the past 10 years, the cool, the calm, and competitive Bob Melvin, and the Bay Area's own my favorite player all time, the 1989 Oakland A's World Series MVP, Dave "Smoke" Stewart. Brody, take it away. Brody, take it away.
Amy, thank you so much. And may I remind everybody that pitchers and catchers report tomorrow for the Oakland A's. So Bob Melvin, a busy man right now. Stu's always busy. But I'm fortunate enough to call these guys friends and to chat with them here for the Game Changer Awards. And Bob, let me begin with you. You went through a pandemic season last year with the Oakland A's, yourself as manager and your coaching staff. What did you guys learn that maybe youth coaches or amateur coaches could benefit from in terms of the season they're about to have? It seems like Bob may not hear us right now. Stu, can you hear us? All right, Dave Stewart may not be able to hear us either. Amy, can you still hear me?
I'm with you. I'm with you, Brody.
All right, well,
I'm with you, Brody.
Until the guys are ready.
You want me to tell you about how Dave Stewart was my favorite player?
Well, he was mine too, for different reasons, but knowing him now, I have to say, is equal to the memories I have from him as a kid, to be honest. And That's special. Not everybody lives up to expectations. He did.
It's so true. And we won't name names, but Dave Stewart lived up to expectations. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it's a pleasure to have him.
Just as good of a man as he was a player.
A pleasure to get to know him across the last several seasons. He's joined us as an analyst for A's Pre- and Post-Game Live. So I spend more time than most people even know with Dave Stewart, or at least used to in normal times. But getting to know him has been great. And I also have to say, sorry, now I hear a bit of an echo of myself, but 10 seasons for the A's with Bob Melvin. That has gone by a lot faster than it feels like. You know what I'm saying? Or a lot faster than 10 years sounds like.
I do.
I remember it just the other day when he took over, mid 2011.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's funny because I actually remember meeting you, Brody, covering the A's in 2006.
And
Bob wasn't there at the time. And then this whole run, I've been over with the Giants. You've been covering the A's. And like I mentioned, Bob's just that cool, calm, competitive demeanor, very successful, very humble.
A great energy with the players.
And it's been really fun to watch. And working with Bruce Bochy for so long, he can't sing Bob's praises enough.
I was going to actually mention that. I would say one of the biggest highlights I've had working at NBC Sports was the opportunity to interview Bob and Bruce. This was 5 years ago, maybe, at the same time. I mean, you're talking about both sides of the Bay represented so equally from a coaching and managing perspective. More than impressive obviously what Bruce did with the titles and everything else, but what Bob has consistently done. And he's been here 10. Yeah. I hope he's here another 10.
Well, we are obviously having technical difficulties because
people didn't tune in to hear me.
No, or me, to be honest. Yeah.
They wanted to hear from Bob
I'm
and
waiting
Dave.
for a cue.
We are doing this virtually, so we hope that people will just be patient with us as we work out those virtual kinks that we've all become so accustomed to over the past year.
I'm wearing sweatpants right now, if that also helps you.
We're going to move on to our next segment, and Brody, we're going to hope to come back to you.
You got it, no problem.
Okay, all right. Okay, so with that, we want
bring
to
in 49ers defensive end Arik Armstead, who was a presenter at our event last year, and he was so moved by our mission, he had something to say tonight. Here's a look.
Hi, my name is Arik Armstead of San Francisco 49ers, and I want to say welcome to you guys. Thank you for being here. I'm really happy to be here again. In 2019, I was able to honor my coach at a Coaching Corps event. Coach Catalico meant a lot to me in high school, really built a foundation for me, moving forward in my football career. I learned so much from him in terms of how to be a leader, how to set an example for the rest of my teammates and the rest of my peers on and off the campus in high school. And so I was really honored and humbled to be able to show some appreciation towards him and really honor him in the way he should be. And learning more about Coaching Corps that night and seeing all the other coaches honored and how big of an impact other coaches have had on athletes' lives and how much change that has had in our society and in our communities was amazing to see and amazing to learn and hear the stories of others that evening. Kids get bombarded with messages from their parents and guardians all the time, and they're not so receptive. But to have those messages drilled in from other people outside of their household, like coaches, is also super important because their ears are a little more open. Sometimes they can be shut off to their parents. And so to have supportive coaches in those times of need that kids can confide in and talk to when they're young and, there's a lot going on in their life, anxiety from school, anxiety from sports, pressure to succeed. There's all different types of things that kids go through and coaches can be there for them. I want to send a special thank you to Coaching Corps. Being a part of the event last year and being able to learn more about Coaching Corps and the organization was truly inspiring for me. The fact that you provide and support coaches and role models in youth's life is extremely important, and it doesn't go unnoticed. And so I want to say thank you. If it wasn't for you, a lot of our youth would be lost without guidance and role models and people to look up to. So in closing, I want to thank you for attending this event And I can't wait to hear the stories from Coach Kerr. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the event.
All right. He's a beast on the gridiron, but a teddy bear in real life. Thank you so much, Eric, for your time and your support and your thoughtfulness. The Game Changer Awards is such a special night. I've looked forward to it myself for the past 7 years. It's a night to dress up and wear something different than what I wear at the ballpark all year long, a huge coat, but more importantly, it's a night to be inspired. It's a night that brings perspective. It's a night that reminds us there's still a lot of work to do, but we need to look at the work being done. So thank you to all who have joined us tonight. We will definitely try and get Bob and Stu back on for you. We'll let you know if that's going to happen. And that was just the warm-up, and we have an incredible hour ahead. So stay right there. Keep this link live and open. The 7th Annual Game Changer Awards will begin in just a few moments with Steve Kerr and the first female coach in Major League Baseball history, Alyssa Nakken.